These are the cockroaches in the laboratory. They are omnivorous even to the corset. This drill bit just now was still usable. In the blink of an eye, it was only half corroded. These cockroaches proliferate rapidly. The scientist saw this scene and panicked. He wanted to get out of this place quickly, but was stopped by John. It turned out that his protective gear was bitten. He was scared and wanted to go out quickly, but the big door didn't open. He immediately begged the colonel to open the door and let him out, but everyone understood. The ancestors called him to go. His face caught, the head was bleeding non-stop. The scientist was completely devoured by cockroaches. What's all this about? They went to the front to take a look, and saw that the iron ring used to bind the giant robot was being corroded by microscopic cockroaches at breakneck speed, and even the bulletproof glass gradually appeared cracks. John didn't feel well at all. He quickly pressed the fire button. Flames of thousands of degrees Celsius flared up in the blink of an eye, and John silently prayed in the hope that he could stop them all. But when the fire was extinguished, the aliens still did not have any strength. Dumb John. Without understanding anything, the giant robot slowly raised his hands, and then split into countless cockroaches that flew to attack humans. John thought that life still had a lot of girls, wanted to leave the control room immediately, but it was too late. The bulletproof glass was also full of cracks. Now it's too late to regret. The cockroaches rushed into the control room, sweeping wildly. Even the iron gate outside was gradually deformed. The iron door weighed 100 tons, flying 800 meters away in an instant. The tank outside immediately got into position. When the cockroaches flew out, the commander immediately gave the order to fire, but no matter how many bombs were burned, the cockroaches were quickly absorbed. The bullets shot past as if they were refueling. The soldiers saw this and ran away, but their speed was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, the soldiers were overwhelmed. The cockroaches soon arrived in the city. A driver who just discovered a strange thing was eaten by cockroaches in a few short seconds. Not even a bone was left. The number of cockroaches at this time has increased significantly, increasing more and more horribly, even a giant stadium. They also sucked it up in a blink of an eye. However, these cockroaches are still not full, continue to fly back to the city to find prey. But the bait here is none other than small humans. Where did this scary cockroach come from? As it turned out, a few days ago, a glowing spherical object appeared in the city, and excited crowds surrounded the sphere. Suddenly, the ball emitted a terrible wind, causing everyone to run away in fear of running away, delaying their feet and being blown away by the wind. Receiving information, the police quickly arrived at the scene, but the police in the US movie were always useless. The scientist had to go alone in front of the sphere. They discovered that this sphere has a layer of energy, very unique amount of protection. Helen was dumbfounded when a figure stepped out of the sphere, scaring the dog, but the aliens didn't attack them, just wanted to be friends with humans. Although not allowed to open fire, there are still some generals with lights running in front of cars, shooting in the abdomen of aliens, and that's it. The sphere turns red in just a few seconds. A giant stepped out from inside, his eyes emitting a red light, incapacitating the surrounding weapons, and then emitted a shrill explosion, causing everyone to fall to the ground. The giant stepped in front of Helen, just stretched out his hand to touch Helen when an order rang out. However, the giant heard it and stood still waiting for orders. The aliens were quickly taken to the hospital by the military, but capital is always capital. They surreptitiously cut some tissue and give it to subordinates to bring to the laboratory for research. But at this time, the doctor discovered that the alien has a special mechanism. His body is gradually changing. DNA has divided into many branches. The outer layer of tissue is also constantly peeling off. Helen wanted to stop this, but her throat was low and she had to keep her mouth shut. Soon the aliens evolved into humanoid form. Scientists with A-shaped eyes, mouths like this, Einstein came back to life and died. The alien suddenly woke up. He was constantly struggling, wanting to get out of the cage. Helen quickly reassured, "We are trying to help you, so don't be afraid." The alien tells Helen his name is John Wick. People from the Department of Defense also arrived, asking John Wick what was his purpose in coming to Earth. John Wick told the Secretary of Defense, "If you are not representative of the Earth, don't talk." John Wick said that this doesn't make any sense, just such a small country has no status, he just wants to talk to the big countries in the East. The minister was bitter, and immediately ordered Helen to anesthetize John Wick. She told him to hide. Unexpectedly, Helen secretly changed the anesthetic into another drug. Because they want to know the purpose of the aliens, they take John Wick to a secret room, preparing to use a lie detector to conduct interrogation. But they did not know that John Wick was not under anesthesia at this time. He told them to let him go and still have a chance to live. Seeing that the interrogator did not waver, John Wick immediately sent out brain waves. The expert looking at the machine thought it was a problem, was about to adjust the machine, when the electric shock slowly numbed. A few seconds later was completely controlled by John Wick. Then John Wick through the line, learned the position of the guard outside. John Wick closed the eyes of an outside artist who was like crazy, momentarily fainted by brain waves. At this time, the Ministry of Defense learned that John Wick had escaped, and immediately launched the highest level of alert to catch John Wick at all costs. At this time John Wick arrived at the train station. He wanted to meet his alien friend, but because he didn't know the way, he called Helen to ask her to lead him to help. Helen wants to know what is his purpose in coming to Earth. By the way, taking him to the place, but unexpectedly, John Wick's alien friend is an old man near the Earth and far from heaven. He is responsible for observing the human race. He told John Wick about the state of the human race. They are selfish, conservative people. After hearing his friend's judgment about humanity, John Wick decided to destroy humanity, helping to make the Earth a cleaner place. At the same time, the Ministry of Defense also entered the work, bringing out the most modern drones, to destroy the giants. Sensing danger, the giant immediately started up, not only successfully blocking the shells that were aimed at him, but also controlling the drone. The giant just needed to glance at the drone. Quickly destroyed. Realizing that the giant was too domineering, the commander decided to find a way to trap it. They found 3 different giant pieces, locked the giant inside, and then sent it deep underground. They wanted to destroy the giant right here, but they didn't expect that something like the beginning of the video could happen. This time, when Helen wasn't paying attention, she kidnapped her. At this time, they received orders to destroy the aliens. John Wick's location has been detected, but you can still kill people with a pencil. What the hell are these planes? He raised his hands. The 2 helicopters lost control in a few short seconds. This boy was scared by the scene just now, turned around to run away, unfortunately slipped a little and fell dead. Fortunately, only John Wick saved him in time to hold him. John Wick did not harm the boy but went to the riverside to call up a glowing ball. John Wick lightly touched the ball with his hand. All the animals were attracted inside. It turned out to be John Wick's Noah's Ark. He wants to take all the animals away, then use cockroaches to destroy humanity, and finally bring the animals back to Earth. This is also John Wick's purge plan. The Ministry of Defense, after hearing the news, used all means to destroy the orb, but the orb was not damaged at all. The apocalypse caused humanity to fall into panic, all over the world to riot. At this time, the cockroaches are increasing more and more, as if they want to eat the whole city alive. The minister rushed to Helen, wanting her to convince John Wick. Helen was able to contact her son, making an appointment for John Wick to come. Then the boy took John Wick to a cemetery. Your father was buried here. He had seen John Wick use his power to bring the dead back to life, so he wanted to ask John Wick to help him bring his father back to life again, but he couldn't help it, because the boy's father had been dead for a long time already. This completely broke him down. Now that Helen has arrived, she comforts her son, although his father will not be able to come back to life, but only needs to inherit his father's will to bravely continue to live. This is what I hope to see. Seeing everything in front of him, John Wick gradually understood. Humanity may still have some kindness left, but the program of destruction has already begun. Cockroaches are everywhere, everything is swept away. Seeing that humans were about to perish, John Wick decided to forgive them. They frantically ran towards the sphere, because it was the only key to undoing the doom. But the cockroaches were one step faster than them. There was no other way, they had to hide. Then John Wick thought of a workaround. Helen discovered that her son had been invaded by cockroaches, even she could not escape. In the heat of the moment, John Wick clenched the hands of 2 people, using the strongest brain waves, sucking all the cockroaches into him. At such an emergency, people would change. Helen looked at John Wick in amazement. John Wick slowly jumped out. He walked with difficulty in the direction of the sphere. At the same time he stepped forward. The cockroaches constantly surrounded him, biting him, but John Wick used all his strength, reaching out to touch the glowing orb. Although the system was turned off, but John Wick also disappeared. Cockroaches instantly fell everywhere. At this time, all electrical devices in the world were simultaneously disabled. Wait until the light fades, the calamity has disappeared. People excitedly step out, enjoy a quiet Earth, and finally people realize that only protecting the Earth, people just not perish. John Wick isn't actually dead yet. He went with the glowing ball to the vast universe, back to the world he belonged to.